In the heart of Kampala lies Katwe 2, a community widely known for its slums, yet rarely understood for the human suffering hidden within its narrow, muddy paths. Beneath the noise of scrap metal workshops and bustling traffic, hundreds of children wander the streets, barefoot, hungry, and forgotten. When Sunrise Heart Outreach visited Katwe on 20th September 2025, the team was confronted with a humanitarian crisis that words alone can hardly describe. Children as young as 5 years old were seen scavenging through heaps of garbage, searching for plastic bottles to sell, not for savings, but simply to survive another day. What the team found was not just poverty, but a deep wound on humanity itself. 2. Situation Overview. According to a rapid community assessment conducted by Sunrise Heart Outreach in partnership with local authorities, it is estimated that over 2,000 children currently live and work on the streets of Katwe 2. 68% are between 6 and 14 years old. 72% sleep in open corridors, wooden shelters, or under makeshift plastic covers. 87% survive on collecting and selling bottles or scrap metal. Over 60% reported going a full day without food at least once a week. The conditions are heartbreaking. The children lack shelter, food, clothing, health care, and protection. Many are abused, exploited, and exposed to violence daily. In several corners of Katwe, Sunrise Heart Outreach found children sleeping on bare wooden floors, wrapped in dirty sacks.
Hope and trust among street children in Katwe. Some children expressed interest in reconnecting with education or vocational programs, creating opportunities for follow-up interventions and sustained engagement. The outreach also reinforced the organization's commitment to the most vulnerable populations, demonstrating that even with limited resources.
Disturbingly, many of these children have faced sexual violence and exploitation. Some boys and girls are sodomized or abused by adults, sometimes in exchange for money or food, yet they remain silent, too afraid, too hungry, and too forgotten.
3. Forced labor and exploitation. In Katwe, the line between childhood and survival is erased. Adult men and women exploit these children daily, forcing them to collect bottles, metals, and plastic for recycling. After long hours under the burning sun, the children bring their collections back, only to be robbed by adults who take the earnings for themselves. A 10-year-old boy told Sunrise Heart Outreach, "They make us work, and when we collect the bottles, they take everything. We sleep hungry. Sometimes, if you refuse to work, they beat you or chase you away." Such stories are not isolated. They echo through the entire Katwe community, a reflection of the wider urban poverty and systemic neglect that has driven many children onto the streets. Sunrise Heart Outreach is immediate response. Heartbroken but determined, Sunrise Heart Outreach decided that standing by was not an option. Within days of the September visit, the foundation launched an emergency food relief program, providing daily meals, lunch, and supper to more than 120 children and elderly people stranded in Katwe. For many, this was their first warm meal in weeks. Sunrise volunteers, many of them young people from the surrounding communities, served posho, beans, rice, and porridge, creating not just a feeding program, but a moment of dignity and hope. Children began smiling again, shyly, hesitantly, as they realized someone cared. In addition to food, Sunrise Heart Outreach began distributing clothes and sanitary items and offered basic first aid treatment for minor wounds and infections. especially bottle cuts and untreated injuries. Counselors from the foundation started offering guidance and trauma healing sessions, particularly for children who had faced abuse or loss. For the first time in a long time, many children were listened to, hugged, and called by their names, something that rarely happens in their daily struggle. Broader humanitarian impact. Beyond feeding children, Sunrise Heart Outreach extended its compassion to elderly and stranded youths in Katwe and other parts of Kampala who share similar struggles: hunger, homelessness, and hopelessness. The Foundation's mobile outreach teams move through Kisenyi, Sambia, and Katwe zones, offering meals, counseling, and emergency assistance. 6. The ongoing challenges. However, the situation remains dire. The number of children in need grows daily. Food stocks run out quickly, and resources are painfully limited. The Foundation currently feeds children twice a day, but the goal is to provide 3 balanced meals, breakfast, lunch, and supper, to at least 200 children daily. Challenges include limited funding for food, clothing, and medical supplies, lack of a permanent shelter for the children, insufficient healthcare access for injuries and infections, lack of school sponsorships to reintegrate children into education. Without sustained support, many of these children will continue to face starvation, disease, and abuse. The way forward. Sunrise Heart Outreach is committed to transforming Katwe into a community of restored hope. The Foundation's strategic plan for the next year includes 1. Expanding feeding programs to serve at least 600 meals per day and reach 200 children and vulnerable adults daily. 2. Establishing a safe shelter, a transitional home in Katwe for 50 to 80 street children with beds, clothing, and basic health care. 3. Rehabilitation and Counseling Center, offering trauma healing, spiritual support, and counseling for abused children. 4. Education reintegration, enrolling at least 50 children into school in 2026 with uniforms and supplies. 5. Health and Sanitation Project, providing regular medical checkups, mosquito nets, and hygiene training. 6. Skills empowerment for youths, introducing ICT and tailoring programs to equip older children and teens with life-changing skills. Call for support. This humanitarian crisis in Katwe cannot be solved by one organization alone. Sunrise Heart Outreach urgently calls upon individuals, organizations, corporate sponsors, and international partners to join this mission of hope. Every contribution, no matter how small, can save a child's life. $5 feeds a child for a day. $20 provides clothing and basic hygiene supplies. $50 helps sponsor a child's education for a term. $100 supports emergency healthcare and counseling sessions. Your partnership can turn pain into possibility. Together, we can ensure that no child in Katwe goes to bed hungry, no child sleeps in fear, and no child is left behind. 9. Conclusion. The story of Katwe's children is one of survival against unimaginable odds, but also one of resilience, courage, and hope. In their eyes, Sunrise Heart Outreach has become more than a charity. It is a symbol of light in a place long forgotten by many. As we move forward, our commitment remains clear. Every child deserves food, safety, and love, regardless of where they were born or where they sleep. With continued support, Sunrise Heart Outreach will keep feeding, healing, educating, and empowering vulnerable children, not only in Katwe, but across Uganda. Let us come together and restore the broken hearts of Katwe. Let us be the sunrise that brings warmth to their cold nights and hope to their weary souls. Thank for the love and support.